The podcast you're about to hear is my 51st Takes podcast that was around 2 years ago. We only did about 7 episodes, but here they are, and I'm bringing them into the Pat Rick Productions brand, and I'm going to be continuing it here on the YouTube channel, looking into maybe pushing it out to other mediums here soon. So I hope you enjoy. Some of the movies are a little bit older, but there's some of the ones that are still fun to watch today. So I hope you enjoy them. Hello, my name is Patrick Carlson, and welcome to 51st Takes, your home for movie reviews and my takes on the box office here in America. Before we start, I would like to start on a little somber note here. Earlier last week, we had some reports about Kelly Marie Tran. You don't know that name. She is Rose from the Last Jedi movie. She had some attacks done on her via her social media and her Wikipedia page, and it was very racist and bigotry of fans who I wouldn't even call them fans, of people who did not like her character. This is very troubling because this isn't the first instance of this is happening. I know Daisy Ridley and Kathy Kennedy and Ryan Johnson, if you look at their Twitters and social media, they are just, even to this day, are constantly getting attacked for the movies they have been in, or Star Wars movies. And this is the only franchise. That happens to almost every franchise out there. I've seen Harry Potter. I've seen even Jurassic Park. I mean, all of them. You have these fans that are just attacking these people for the movies that they come out, or their take on older movies that have been established, and I just have to say, this simply has to stop. If you have, let me start. Me and my friends debate and discuss movies a lot, and sometimes it does get heated between us. And at the end of the day, it's okay for someone else to have an opinion about a movie, whether they liked it or disliked it. But never would we attack each other or attempt to hurt someone for those reasons. And this is what's happening to these actors and writers and directors, and it just has to stop. I'll go as far as, if you are the people doing this, you're obviously not fans of any of these series. You're especially not Star Wars fans, because if you are a Star Wars fan, you know these movies are about love, redemption, and heroism. And if you really took something away from these movies, and if you are truly fans of these movies, I don't understand how you would be able to write some of these things and attempt to hurt these actors, actresses, and directors about what their vision on these movies. So yeah, just stop it, guys. It's not healthy. Stay off social media if you have nothing good to say. But that'll be the only thing I say about this. Okay, so on to the fun stuff here. This week I'm reviewing the movie Hereditary. I had my choice between 3 movies this week, and there was some stuff that made me want to see this movie. Most importantly is the cinema score. This movie got a D+ cinema score, which rarely happens. And this is really conflicting, because if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes, it has like around 93 right now, and the Metacritic score is around the mid-80s. And I was just like, how can these two things be so drastic? Because usually Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic gets their numbers based off some algorithm from critic viewings of the show or of the movie, and then the cinema score comes from fan polling. It's similar to exit polling in the political climate. That's where the cinema score gets their polling. So obviously there's some disconnect between critics and fans, and for this movie, so I just had to see it for myself, just to see what was the difference. And honestly, I love this movie. I don't understand that D+ cinema score at all, because this was very artfully done. It was directed by Ari Aster. It was her very first debut film. It was debuted at Sundance Fan Festival. Don't know what that is. Go look it up. It's a very big film festival in America. It is starring Toni Collette, who right now is my early contender for actress for the Oscars, and then my leading contender for leading actor in a supporting role, or not leading actor in a supporting role, is Alex Wolff. You guys know Alex Wolff in the new Jumanji reboot with The Rock. He plays the kid playing The Rock in the Jumanji movie. All actors and actresses in this movie did a great job. I thoroughly enjoyed this. And this is a horror film, and I actually hate horror films, mostly because up until probably about 2 years ago, there hasn't really been a good horror film out there for me. Ever since, you have Alfred Hitchcock films, which I did like, and then you have the original Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Streets, were great horror films. And up until probably the late 90s to early 2000s, I didn't really think there were any more great horror films out there, up until the past couple years, where you have Hereditary, this movie, you have Get Out, you have A Quiet Place. I'll even throw the movie, the It reboot movie, which have all been great movies. And I'm asking myself, there's some sort of horror reinsurgency, to me at least, because you just have a recent of great horror films coming out. And the main reason why I like these movies is its focus on building the characters. And in it, you have the young kids who, it's a coming of age story from them. And Get Out, you have all these characters that are fully fledged, and you have real motivations on each of those characters. A Quiet Place, and then Hereditary, now you have just great character development, and you actually care about some of these characters, not necessarily care, but you understand what they're going through. Another thing here is I absolutely hate jump scares. I find them very cheap. Another reason why I don't really like, there's that mid section of the 2000s where I feel there weren't really any great scary movies, is because they use that jump scare. It's very cheap. All you need is a loud noise and move a camera, and obviously you just don't jump because you're not. It's just how it is, and I just find that tactic very, very cheap. And a lot of times you have these movies that just use them just to get a fight or flight use out of you. And there's some people that actually like those movies because of that reason. They like the adrenaline, they like all that stuff. That's completely fine. But to me, I find them very cheap, and they don't really give the characters or the story much to go after. And Hereditary, if you're looking for a jump scare type of movie, this is definitely not it. It does a great job of scaring you without resorting to jump scares. I think there's only one that I would consider being a jump scare. There's lightning going on, and I'm talking about a scary movie. That's not great, but anyways, back to but yeah, it uses that jump scare just once in the movie, and it did it in a good place that made sense in the movie. It's something to throw it in there, but it makes sense in this movie. But yeah, characters was great. The writing is a great job for being a debut. Aster, she did a great job. Bravo. I wish I would have actually. One of my goals is to go to the Sundance Festival at least once in my lifetime just to experience it, because I hear it's a great time. Especially if you're a movie lover, I suggest going, because it's just one of those things that you just have to experience. But yeah, I'm not actually going to give my rating on it because I can't talk too much more about this movie without some spoilers. And I heard that I usually do my rating after the spoiler section. So I'm going to go ahead and rate this as a solid 2.5 or 2.5 out of 5 takes. So I'll see this movie at least 2.5 more times in the movie theaters. I'm definitely seeing it a second time because there's a lot of little nuanced stuff in this movie that you really have to pay attention to. So for those going out to see this movie, really pay attention to the little stuff, because the details really make the whole movie. And more than anything, this movie made me think as the movie was going along, and it's just an escalation of events, and just this and this and this, until everything just gets out of whack towards the climax of the movie. And it's just artfully done. Go see it. I'm going to see it a second time probably sometime during this week, so go see it. Now we're going to enter the spoiler section, so you guys are warned. Wow, this movie is crazy. Right off the beginning, you start off in Peter's bedroom. Now, throughout the whole entire movie until the very, very end, you think this movie is about Charlie, and the haunting and everything surrounds about her. We are dead wrong. This movie is about Peter. Even when he goes to the classroom, you hear the teacher talk about, is it more tragic to have a choice and then fall, or just have no choice at all and still fall? And that just plays out through the whole entire movie of the idea of hereditary. Is this haunting hereditary, or does Peter really have a choice in the matter because of his genetics of his grandmother inviting this spirit into their family to begin with? And it just asks so many questions, and that's what I love about movies. I love movies that ask questions, and this does that. I have so many questions at the end of this movie, and the movie does a good job of answering some of these questions, but it leaves enough questions unanswered just to keep you wondering. Like, you have this whole cult surrounded by this demon, and was this cult the people that caused the crash? I mean, you have that little symbol there at the on the thing, and that caused the crash to kill Charlie in the very, very beginning, which then escalates this whole ordeal. Did they cause that crash, or was that something just completely accident? We don't really know for sure. And it's like, what is the deal of that symbol? What are the words that are on this is one that I'm still wondering about. There are words on the wall that in the grandmother's room that I have no idea what they mean. I don't know if they're part of the words of like the chant or what. But I've been asking that, and if you guys have some answers, please tweet at me. I'll love to know what those words on the wall mean. But yeah, it's just at the end of the movie, you just ask yourself, what just happened? Because it ends with Peter possessed by the demon, with the crown on his head and the naked cult all around them. And you're like, that just imagery of that is like, what the fuck happened? And sorry to cuss, but that's just what was going in my mind watching this movie. Talk about some nuanced stuff, the sound. Whenever there's any scary movie, has to have a good soundtrack. It doesn't matter what movie. If you're playing on a horror movie and you have a terrible soundtrack, you're just doomed from the beginning. Think about some of the greatest horror movies. Psycho, great soundtrack. Jaws, that movie Jaws is considered a horror movie, and it's horror because of the soundtrack. You have A Quiet Place, which lived off of the soundscape of the movie, of the quiet, messing with quiet and sound throughout the whole movie. And then this movie has a great soundtrack and keeps you suspenseful, keeps on the edge of your chair throughout the whole movie. And whenever there's something that you think is there, may not be there, and vice versa. It's great. And pay attention to the shadows of this movie, because the shadows are really freak you out. When I'm going to see this a second time later this week, I'm going to sit a little bit closer to the screen, because I was usually like to sit very far back, but I noticed with this movie, I want to be able to see the movie without seeing anything around the movie. So I'm going to sit a little bit closer to the screen next time when I go see, so I can catch it all in. And I would suggest doing that just to see if the difference of the movie is any different than from what I saw it as. The other question I have with this movie is how long has this demon been plaguing this family? Because the stuff that we do know is that what we think is the original demon was actually with the grandfather, and then the movie tells us that he starved himself to hopefully try to expel this demon out from his body. And then it moved to, I believe, her son, the grandmother's son, Tony Coletti's brother, and then he ended up hanging himself to try to get away from this demon, and then it manifests into the grandmother. Because this demon is a male, it can only 100% survive in male host, so that even the grandmother's body was temporary until Toni Colletti's character, apparently she had no contact with her grandmother or with her mother, so she until she had grandchildren, the grandmother put the demon into the youngest granddaughter because she didn't really have much contact with the oldest son. Then when the granddaughter had it, it then move on from there. So how long has this demon been messing with his family? Has it been going on past the grandmother and the grandfather? Or did it start with that grandmother messing with witchery and the seances of demons or spirits? So just a big question that I have in that movie. What are your thoughts of the movie? Be sure to tweet at me at 51st Takes, or you can email me at 51stakes@gmail.com. Let me know. We do have one question that is actually a pretty big question. Mitch asks, should movie theaters be slightly annoyed that all do these movie people wanted to see the coming weeks? Wait 1 second. Sorry. This is reading weird. Should movie theaters be slightly annoyed that all these movie people want to see are the new coming up movies week after week, instead of spreading these movies out, make sure they make their money that they can? Probably reword this question is, well, there's two things I think about this question. One is the actual movie theaters themselves, and the second is the studios that put on these movies. So should studios be slightly annoyed that the movie market, you have a brand new movie almost week after week, as opposed to back in the mid to early 2000s, you had a big blockbuster movie, and then you had 3, maybe even a whole month until the next big blockbuster movie, and then you had several small movies spread out in between. Versus now, it seems like you have, like, just the month of May. Think about the month of May. You have Avengers: Infinity War, which is supposed to come out May 7th, but it pushed it back to the last weekend, May 29th or something like that. And then you have Deadpool, and then you have Star Wars: A Solo Story, all 3 movies within a month span. Our studios annoyed at that. And I think, I think part of the reason is they see that they're competing with one another, especially with this Fox Disney merger. They're trying to grab up this market share, because right now Disney already has like a 22-23% market share of movies out there, and then everyone else is fighting for the rest. The next closest market share is, I think, Universal with like 14%, and then with Fox is actually in third place with like 10%. So once Disney acquires Fox, that's Disney's gonna have like a 33 plus percentage of the market share, which is, it's 1/3 of the market share, which is humongous, especially with, we're talking about movies here, which they account to about 12 plus $billion a year, and that's $4 billion coming to one company, which is crazy. So you have this big fight for trying to make money off these movies, and so studios are trying to pump up these big blockbusters week after week after week, just to compete. That's all they're doing. That's why we've seen 8 or 9 Fast and Furious movies, and we've seen like 7 Transformers movies, because they're big budget, they've made big money, and they're just trying to compete. So, if should studios be slightly annoyed that they have to do this? Yeah, because they have to do it just to barely compete with Disney and Disney/Fox. Now, moving the question over, should movie theaters be annoyed? Maybe that minimum wage guy collecting tickets is probably slightly annoyed that week after week you have these huge crowds at once coming in for these movies. But I did a little research here, and actually the ticket sales in 2017 is actually the lowest it's ever been since 1992. I got that article from Entertainment Weekly. And that's crazy. And I knew this is one of the things that has been happening is ever since these streaming services and everything like that, people aren't going to the movies as much as possible. That's why we've seen a surgence of like Movie Pass. You see AMC doing their stub rewards, and you're trying to find these deals to get into the movie theaters. So that the movie theater business is actually not doing too well from a ticket sales perspective. Then you have the big chains like AMC, who they're doing just fine. But then you have the small chains like we have a local theater even called the Drexel. Back in 2009, they were having some issues, and it wasn't until, because the Drexel is a historical building, they had this nonprofit, and they turned into a nonprofit business because of their historical backing, just being a historical site. Which then helped their business out a little bit more with tax purposes and something like that. But you have other for-profit businesses, small movie theaters that are struggling right now because of this. And this is also one of the reasons why we see that you have to pay $15 for a ticket to go see a movie versus I remember even a decade ago, back in 2008, it was closer to $8 to $9. So this is the tickets. That's why the box office numbers aren't showing it, but if you look at the tickets sold, movie theaters aren't doing so hot. So are movie theaters annoyed? I don't think so. I think they enjoy that studios are pumping out these movies so they do get more and more peoples in seats, which means they get to sell concessions, they can sell anything or do any other promotional stuff while people are in the seats. So are theaters themselves annoyed? No, they love it. They want to see butts in seats. Are studios slightly annoyed? I think so, because it's just more, they just have to pump off so much content. And that's just a lot of work, because I think that's actually part of the reason that we are seeing some of these big movies fail, because you just have so much content and they're just slamming you and slamming you and slamming you. We've had so many Star Wars movies come out recently versus, think about the original trilogy. You had the original trilogy, which had 3 years apart from one another, and then you had 15-20 years until the new the prequels came out, and then now all of a sudden we've had 4 Star Wars movies in a 4-year span, and that's not the only one. You have the Fast and Furious franchise that's already on 8 movies. You have Transformers that I feel like they've had like 20 movies already, and then this is content that is being reused, I think, versus new ideas. This is why I like the movies like Hereditary, A Quiet Place, and there's many more out there, but those are the ones that are coming to my mind right now that are fresh new stories, and I think that they're doing relatively well for them. Quiet Place is killing in the box office. I think their budget was like $17 million, and they are over $300 million worldwide. What a great on investment, because you have great characters, great writing, great actors doing what they do best with fresh new content. Well, I hope that answers your question, Mitch. And that's all I really have for today. Be sure you tweet at me with those questions, or I really want to know what you guys think of the movie Hereditary, because I need to go see it a second time myself. Tweet at me at 51st Takes, or email me at 51stakes@gmail.com. And that concludes this show here. Make sure you guys are being good people out there. Stay off social media if you don't have anything great to say nice. But yeah, have a good one, guys.